This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today I have an interesting project for you. It's called the Mailbox mod. And basically what it is a way to add smoke to your smoker through a means of a pellet tray or a pellet tube, and then you don't have to directly connect anything to your smoker. So for today's project, all we really need is a metal mailbox. Now, if you have an old one laying around, feel free to use one. I think that's a great use for it if you've switched to something like a heavy-duty locking or something like that, or maybe, you know, you went to plastic for I don't know what reason, but any metal mailbox will work just fine as long as you can drill into it and be able to attach your hose to it. The next thing you'll need is a hose. Now today I have two different hoses, and these are both auto parts. This one is a heavy duty diesel hose, and you'll see right here that basically it's for running air into the motor, like up to the air intake or something like that, like you need a fresh, cool air supply. This one's heavy duty. This is more than what I would normally use, but they sell this in the auto parts store in pieces, and so I went ahead and bought this just for this demo. And if I needed a longer one, I would probably use that, but I could also just cut a piece and attach the two together. This is what I prefer to use. And this also comes from the auto parts store, or you can buy it on Amazon. This one I bought off Amazon, and you'll see my affiliate link below. And basically what it is it goes to the bottom of an old style auto air cleaner. And so there's an air intake, and this goes down to the side of the block where the air is preheated when the motor's cold. Now this thing comes compressed, and then you just pull it out and stretch it apart and get the full length out of it. You could use something like a dryer hose or something like that, but that's going to be a little bit too big. It will flow the air in the way you want it, but it won't seal, so you would have to tape it to the sides of the assembly, and also you would have to figure out a way to deal with it here. Now let's talk about this. First, the tray is just going to slide in here and sit like that, and you're going to keep it close to the door. Not too close that the door gets hot as it burns, but close enough that the fresh air gets right to where the burning is right away. Now, you're going to need holes on this side for air intake and a hole on this side to attach the hose. So I have my assortment of tools sitting there, and I'm just going to go ahead and start with this. First thing I want to do is I want to get a hole as close to the top as I can right in the middle. I got myself a white grease pencil, which is what I use to mark on painted metal. And I've drawn a circle, and it's not perfect, but I'll get a picture up there for you in a second. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plus and an X on here, and you'll see why in a second. And this doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a guide. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop a picture of that right up here, and you'll see that we have a circle, and then it looks kind of like a wheel actually with some spokes. And we're going for these kind of spoke design because we want to be able to put that in there. Now, you're kind of going to shift it a little bit, so you might want to rotate that design just a little, but I'm going to go dead center in the middle of each one of those lines when I do my cuts, and you'll see that a little bit later. So first, let's go ahead and drill some holes. Now this here is a step bit, and I buy at the local tool store, and they're relatively cheap if you buy generic ones. I recommend that when you're doing a project like this with a light metal, you probably either want to pre-drill or use a really sharp bit, and then that way you don't have a big problem. Each time you go down, the hole gets a little bit bigger in steps. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. I'll go ahead and bring this up there, and you'll be able to see what I just did. So we've got the hole there, and oh, there you go. And then you can see the lines. Those lines are just guides, so I will not be cutting on them, I will be cutting in between them. Now what we need to do is we need to drill some holes in the front. Now we want these holes to be relatively close to the bottom. If your mailbox has a flap on it, you can either leave the flap or you can remove it. I like to leave the flap and then just put something in there to hold it open, or even bend it a little bit with a pair of pliers so that way it sits up. I'm going to go on the bottom, and there's an indent here where the flap would normally be, and I'm just going to put some holes in there. So I'm going to start in the corner over here and then do the opposite. So I'll go ahead and show these to you. And I put 5 holes in there. And if it does not perform the way you want it to, it will be simple to take the step bit and just enlarge those holes. I think this is going to be the minimum. I'm pretty sure that we'll be enlarging them a little bit, but you never know. It might be exactly perfect. The larger the holes, also, the more the wind will have an effect on that. But typically, I just put a brick kind of sideways in front of it, whichever way the wind is coming. So if the wind's coming from that side, I'll put the brick like that, and it'll block a direct wind from blowing across it, which reduces airflow. Now our next tool is going to be some sheet metal cutters. You could also use some kind of a grinder, like you know, a cutoff wheel or something like that. Now I'm going to go right in between these 2 lines, and I'm going to go ahead and take a picture real quick. I'm going to go all the way until I go past the outside ring in between each white line. So I've cut all the lines that I need cut for the pipe, and I'll go ahead and put that picture up there. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a pair of pliers, whether they be needle nose. These ones are my Duluth multi-tool pliers, and I like it because it's narrow, and that's what I need for this. I'm going to go past the circle here and grab onto it and then bend it up. And of course, make sure that you get both corners nice and fair up there. And then the same thing here. Past the circle. And the reason I'm doing that is because it needs to be bigger than the hose. Now this would be the point to where if it doesn't open up as large as you need it, that you would want to cut it a little bit more. So right here I'm going to check the fit, and the fit is good. It's going to be just a little loose in there, which is okay because I have a solution for that. Then what I'm going to do is go about halfway in there and bend these up. The only reason I'm bending these ones up at the halfway point is because I want to make sure I don't have any blockage of the airflow. But I need them to hold the hose. Okay. Tighten these up just a little bit here. Oh, that's pretty nice. Just right about where I want it to be. Go ahead and give you a picture there. So I pop a picture up here of that for you, and the surface is really shiny. It's really bright out today. Very hot out here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out the rest of the way. Now I can set it in just like that. So at this point, there's a couple of things that you could do. You could either tape this in there just without anything extra. You could screw it in there, or you could use lava lock, which is what I use to seal up around the edges of fireboxes on smokers and also on the birdhouse tray holder that I showed you earlier in the video. And You can fill that up with the lava lock silicone and then put a layer of tape over it and you won't have any leaks. But to be honest with you, I think a little tiny bit of leak is good for airflow. As long as most of the smoke is getting in there, make sure that it works good and you get good flow in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out real quick and I'm going to drill 4 holes in here and then we'll take it as it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a picture of those holes that I just drilled up there. And then we'll see if this still fits, because when we pushed on it a little bit, it kind of moved the tabs a little. If it doesn't fit, then we'll just take the pliers, open them up a little bit. Okay, looks great. Now I use the self-tapping to do the holes. For this product here, I don't want to use self-tapping. It'll just tear it to pieces. So what I want to use is I want to use these sharp point little screws here. You can use whatever you want. These have kind of a wide head, and I really like these for just about anything that they'll work for. First thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and pop this one in the top and give it a slight up, take it to the top of the hole and go really easy on this, because this stuff is just going to tear right apart. Okay. Show you again, really soft near the top. So you want to hold it down, put it near the top. It's really just a glorified foil tube. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pop that picture right up here, and you can see from this angle right here, that screw right there, and you can see this other one is in there, and we're attached. So now I'm going to cut some small pieces of this foil tape, and this you'll find in the heating duct section of your local hardware store, or you can buy it online, and I'll go ahead and put an affiliate link below for that. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut some small strips and go around the outside here first, and then you kind of have to work it in with tabs. So take your strip, take your backing off, and then right in here from one screw to the next, as close to the mailbox as you can get it, and just like that. And that piece sealed between those two. Then I'm going to go on the opposite side and do the exact same thing. Close to the mailbox as I can get it. Cover the 2 screws. So first off, all of the sharp edges are now covered, and you want to make sure that your tape is wide enough to do that as soon as possible, because you want to prevent yourself from getting cut by that jagged sheet metal. Just pushing that all down, and it gets it really nice and sealed between all the little gaps. Now again, I can work in as much as I want. So I'll go ahead, cut another piece. And these are just dollar store kitchen scissors, which work really good for this. So I cut another piece, but now I'm going to cut halfway through here or more, just like this, to create tabs. Then I'm going to fold each tab up like that. So each tab is folded up, and you're going to see this really quick here. Now I'll go ahead and remove the paper. Okay, we got the paper removed. Tabs are bent up. I'm going to put this on the bottom like this. Make sure it's formed to the hose, and then push down the tabs. So I'll pop that picture up right there of the tabs, and you can see they're just like that. Now, I don't want to overdo it. I think that there's going to be a little bit of a leak here and here. And again, if you put in the lava seal before you did this and let it dry for a few minutes and then you added this tape, it would be completely sealed up. But again, I'm not completely worried about that. So now that we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and get out the smoker and get a tray lit and give it a test. So we got this going, and typically what I do is put a small piece of haystack lighter in there, and then I pack it full of pellets, and then I hit it with the blowtorch. And when you see it going like that, it's usually really close to ready. And the way that you can tell is by blowing it out. Look how much smoke is coming off that. That's a good sign. Then you take a big breath. And if you can relight it, that means that you're good to go. So now I'll blow it back out and let it smoke. Gonna let it smoke for a second there. Take a 1 minute break, and then I'm gonna load it into the mailbox. So it's been long enough, so I think we're good to go. Let me check and make sure that we're set up here. I wanted to get a little bit closer look at the mailbox when I insert that in there. So you can see here's the 5 holes right in the front. Go ahead and open that up. Then I'm going to grab this, and remember that corner will be hot, and I'm going to put that corner close to the front. So that way the airflow starts going directly in there. You give it a second or two to let the smoke start flowing around. And then close the lid. Now, something that you might consider is making sure that this is a little lower than the smoker. You can see the hose comes across and goes up just a little bit, but you'll see there's smoke coming out here. So what you might want to do is put a rock or something underneath. A wooden wedge will also work well for that. But again, lowering this down a lot more definitely will help. Now you see smoke is coming around there, no big deal. A little bit of smoke coming out right here. But we're gonna wait a minute and see what happens. The next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and open the smoker. And I released the latch already, so here we go. And look at the smoke piling out of there. So that was the same location where the wood chips would actually burn. And that was a lot of smoke, too much smoke to talk and film at the same time. So we went ahead and sealed it back up. And now let's get another look at the whole thing. Earlier in the video, I mentioned using a brick to block off the airflow. So I'm going to put that right there. And you can see that a little bit of smoke is still going along. And if you look up here, you can see a little bit of smoke coming out of here. I see smoke is coming out of the edge there, and this is stopping the airflow from blowing across the front of the intake. Now I'm going to move this up here. And this is my chimney, no chimney brick method, that if you just put a brick or something large up next to the vent hole, the smoke will crawl right up it. And I'm trying to get it to crawl up it so you can see it, but it's just not thick enough yet. Let's go ahead and open the smoker one more time. Stand back this time. But look at that smoke pile out of there. One thing to note is that it's not going to flow really well until it warms up just a little bit. If it's lower temperature than the outside air temperature, it's not going to want to flow. Now, opening it up there gave a little bit of ventilation and it's starting to flow through. And that is a really good sign. So it's working really good right now. We're going to take a break here. For you, that's just going to be 1 second. For me, it's going to be about 30 minutes, and then we'll see the results. So I've ran my test about 30 minutes, and I can clearly see loads of smoke coming out of the top of this smoker. So I'm hoping that you can see it also. And there's a little bit of smoke coming around the edge, but like I said, a little bit of leaks in the box is actually not a bad thing because it makes sure that you're getting good airflow and good ventilation. And this is going to be perfect for cold smoking, whether it be cheese or nuts or anything else that you want to just put a nice long slow smoke to. Or you could leave it like this and run it heated, and then you would get a nice long smoke without having to add wood chips or any of that stuff over the period of time. So anyway, this is it, the Mailbox mod. I'm going to go ahead and pull it loose here. It's just that simple and easy to do, and also not expensive. So if you saw anything in the video that you like, you'll see all the links below. Those are affiliate links, so if you do use those, I will get compensated. But hey, at least go check the price out on Amazon, because that does help me even if you don't buy anything. So again, I hope you got some useful information and enjoyed the video. Have a great day.